Good morning, good Wednesday morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Alvarez. I'm the Latino conservative. Thank you for joining me. And my light just went out. I'm still working out all the kinks and everything in this system. But let me get this on real quick for you, because my cat likes to play with this light. See, there we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. How y'all doing out there today? It is Wednesday. Hump day. What hump day is it? It's hump day. So my name is Andrew Alvarez. I'm the Latino conservative. Thank you for joining me today. We got some stories to talk about. We got some issues to talk about. First and foremost, as you see in the title, Donald Trump is calling for Iran to give an unconditional surrender. If you haven't seen, or if you've been living under a rock for the past week or so, you know that Israel and Iran have been in a quote unquote conflict. It's the precursor to war, basically. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but they've been in a conflict of sorts, and the U.S. has kind of not really been helping Israel. Now, I don't want our boots to be on the ground. I'm just going to come out and say that. I don't want our boots to be on the ground. I don't want our men to be, our men and women, I should say, to be directly affecting this war, directly participating in this war, maybe a better word. But right now, as it is, there's threats of the bunker buster being sent to Iran and being used in Iran because their nuclear facility is in a mountain, something like 300 feet, 300 to 400 feet underground under a mountain. And the way these bunker busters work, they are 30,000 pounds of ordnance that are flown. And there's only 2 of them that can fit on one of our bombers at a time. That's how big they are. So the way they work, the best way for them to work is the plane comes in, drops one, busts a Huey, drops another one in the same spot. Either that or 2 bombers go, one drops, goes, the other one drops right behind it and goes off. But we haven't used those yet. I don't know that we can use, or that Israel can use those without us directly using those. And it's just, I don't know what to think about that, because to me, if we were to use that, if we were to absolutely go in and use the bunker buster, that means that our people are directly being utilized in this war, and I don't like that. So Donald Trump is calling for an unconditional surrender, basically. I am for that. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to play a little clip for you real quick.
Situation room, that he didn't want to do that while he was in Canada and monitor the situation between Israel and Iran while he was traveling at that summit. So he was back here. But as of now, we don't expect that meeting has gotten underway yet. But the president making it clear that he is still very much focused on this issue from those social media posts. That one about the supreme leader of Iran, very striking message from the president when he writes that he is an easy target, but he is safe there, saying we are not going to take him out, kill, at least for now. Kira, that message from the president comes just days after 2 U.S. officials told ABC that the president had rejected a plan by the Israelis to take out the Ayatollah. The Israelis had told the United States that they had a window to do that, but the president had rejected that plan. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told our John Carl that the Israelis are not going to rule out that assassination, but the president making it very clear in that post that that is not something that he is looking to see happen right now. And again, Kira, notable, he uses the word "we" there in his social media post.
We'll talk about the implications of that in just a minute with Richard. But the latest on the strikes, Marcus, what do we know?
Kira, there have been hundreds of missiles and drones and rockets traded between the two countries, and we know that Israel has carried out more strikes today targeting Iran's military capabilities, including their nuclear facilities, as well as missile launchers and ballistic missile capabilities. And we heard from the Israelis that they say that they've knocked out 40% of Iran's ballistic missiles and their capabilities there. And in addition to that, they have also targeted key members of Iran's military. Overnight, Israel claims that they killed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's top commander. Now, Iran, meanwhile, has targeted Israel's top intelligence headquarters, as well as other key strategic military locations here, launching those operations, they say, as retaliation for Israel's Friday attack. And Kira, Iran has vowed to continue retaliating.
So wars and rumors of wars going on. Now, one thing that I've said before is the whole conflict in Iran to me is a symbol of the bow of Elam found in Jeremiah 49. Yes, I am a Christian. I do read the Bible. At least I try to. I listen to it nowadays. But I'm kind of glad that now that the supreme leader of Iran or the defense team in Iran, they're kind of starting to secede a little bit. And I'm glad of that because, nobody wants war. Although, in my opinion, it's going to happen. I don't believe that they're going to fully surrender. They may have a false flag surrender type thing, or they just they may have just a false surrender. I should say false flag. That is a very great big possibility on our side too. To be honest, because we could very well say that they touched our boats, and you know what happens when they touch our boats. I don't care who they is or they are. If they touch our boat, all hell is breaking loose. Don't touch our boats. Iran already damaged our embassy in Tel Aviv. Technically, that is American ground. We could go in and retaliate, so to say. But where does the retaliation stop? Does it stop at the level of damage that they did to our ground? Or do we utilize the FAFO method? You touched our ground, so we're going to totally demolish and turn all of your ground to glass, basically is what it amounts to. To me, I just can't wait for this to be over. We don't need to send our young men and women out there for stupidity is what it is. Plus, the people that are sending our young men and women out there, they're not going themselves. I fully believe that if somebody in Congress votes to send somebody to war, they should have to go too. They should have to go, or their children should have to go. I bet there'd be a whole lot less voting for war if that was the case. But I don't know. Lindsey Graham loves war. The Republican. Show me how much money you make from the war complex out there, and I'll show you who some of the top politicians are. Because the war, how should I say, the military industrial complex, those who provide for the military, those are the biggest spenders and biggest lobbyists out there, next to Big Pharma. I don't know which one's bigger, Big Pharma or the military industrial compound, but both. They both kill people, plain and simply. Plain and simply. Now, I totally stand behind all of our military, the personnel, 100%, 199.999, however many more percentages I can get, stand behind them. I wanted to go to the military. I was too fat. The recruiter told me to lose 100 pounds before they'd even consider me. I lost 100 pounds and blew out my shoulder. That shoulder got better. I blew up my other shoulder. Then I blew up my knee. And by that time, I was too old. I started too late, but either way. So Trump is basically, I think he's going into this with the concept of, if I don't do something, if I don't show my strength, if I don't flex my muscle, then whatever ground I gained politically, influentially, whateverly, I lose it. I mean, that's one thing about him, about Trump. He does not want to lose his influence. He does not want to lose his strength, his negotiation powers. That is his power. So I hope it's going to go pretty quick, because, that's kind of how Israel's wars are. Israel's conflicts are, hot and heavy for a little bit, and then they're over, because Israel does so much damage. They're strategic about it. They go in and preemptively strike, which is smart. The best defense is a good offense, but I really do hope it's done quick. I don't think it's going to be, though. I really don't think it's going to be. The person who has read the book of Revelations, the book of Daniel, the book of Jeremiah enough times to get a few nuggets out of there just really doesn't believe it's going to end. So on to our next story here. Alex Padilla. Let me pull up that clip real quick. Okay, let me see if I did this right. Remember, please, that I cannot see very well, so hopefully I clicked the right button.
As a result of Israel's actions.
All right, Richard, let's now talk about Trump, talking about possibly taking out the Ayatollah. If that were to happen.
Okay, that wasn't it. Give me just a minute. Okay, while I'm looking for that, have y'all seen how much the Democrats are starting to basically cry? Literally cry? So Alex Padilla, who is a senator from California, he recently barged into a press conference, a press hearing. He said that he was waiting for it and that he was in line for it and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. He said that after the fact. But prior to that, he said that he had heard one going down, that it was happening. And let me see if I can find that clip for you real quick. So Alex Padilla was basically arrested by security forces. They took him down. He says that they threw him down, that they took him down. But if you watch the video, it really didn't go down that way. He got on his knees by himself.
Specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles. I also want to talk about governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles. I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information.
Okay, yeah. He goes on. He goes on and on and on. And then in the second press conference, he started crying about how could this happen to me? If this could happen to me, what could it mean for the immigrants? Shut the hell up. Dude, you are California. Quit being I can't say that word on here because, family show. But this payaso's out there talking about how he was thrown down. No, he had cameras. That press conference that you saw right there happened within a couple minutes of him being detained. He wasn't arrested. He was detained for his own safety. At the beginning of the video, it shows how he was out there interrupting, causing a scene, making a big ruckus at a press conference when that's not how it works. If you go to a press conference, you sit there, you listen for a little bit, then the press secretary or whoever's conducting the press conference will open up for questions. They pick one. Whenever they open up for questions, that's when you hear all of the people talking and trying to get their question in. But the press, the press conference coordinator, whoever's holding the conference, will pick someone there. I heard this on a podcast on Timcast IRL. I heard this on the podcast. I forgot which one of the guests said it, but they said they likened it to how back a few years ago, everybody was doing it for the Vine. Now they're doing it for the gram, doing it for Instagram, doing it for TikTok, doing it for all of those videos. And, they're right. The left is trying their damnedest to go viral, but they don't have anything to go viral on. What is their policy points? What are their policy points, plural? They have none. They have none other than Trump bad. That's it. That is what they are going off of. Trump bad, Orange Man bad. Anything that Trump wants to do is bad. California is a prime example over that. California, Washington, D.C., not the actual capital, but the city of Washington, D.C., where they have their own mayor. I'm glad they don't have representation in Senate because they are liberal there in Washington, D.C. Why? Because they're controlled by the politicians that are the uniparty, not the bipartisan. And quite honestly, this country isn't built on a bipartisan party system. This country should be no parties. There's a guy that I really look up to. His name is Brian. I met him. He was a special finance manager when I was working in the car dealerships in Houston. One lesson he taught me way back then, I say way back then, this was about 10 years ago, is to vote policy, not party. Now, when I went to go register through the FEC to run for Senate, it makes you choose a party. You are forced to choose a party, or you can run independent. But I will promise you this, with all the parties listed there, about 20, at least 20, the only two that matter are Republican and Democrat. And to top that off, at the end of the day, those two don't even matter. I mean, look at Texas. Texas is a great example. Perfect example. We have a Republican controlled House of Representatives in Texas and a Senate in Texas. But we are plagued with rhinos. A rhino, if you don't know what that, you haven't heard that yet, it is Republican in name only. What that means is someone filed as a Republican and they are doing the Democrats' bidding. Now, in Texas, if you file to run as a Republican, you have to sign the oath, which is basically you have to read through the which is basically like a constitution in a way, or like an agreement, a contract, a covenant between you and the Republican Party, saying that you will follow these rules and you stand for these rules as a Republican. Those rhinos sign that pledge, but they don't obey by it. They don't abide by it. They don't obey their own words, their own covenants. They're liars. Now, I'm not saying that we have a lot of rhinos in Washington, D.C. I know of one big rhino that I am still working to get out of office, even though I'm not actively campaigning my own campaign. I will go out there and campaign for Ken Paxton. I will go out there and knock doors for Ken Paxton to make sure that John Cornyn doesn't win another election. My blind ass self will go out there and knock on the doors, go door to door. I don't care who it is, Republican, Democrat, whoever, because in Texas you can vote for whoever. You don't register as a Republican, you don't register as a Democrat. You vote how you want to vote. So I just went off of on a big tangent talking about Alex Padilla. Now, I'm related to some Padillas from California, my mom's side. So I may or may not be related to this guy. I don't know. I don't know. Some really close family of mine is Padilla. My mom's maiden name is Padilla. She was raised in California, in LA specifically. Now I know there's going to be a lot of Padillas out there, but we Mexicans, we're all related. So while I queue up the next story, I do want to talk about a sponsored product. I swear by these things. This is called Alpha Fuel. They're alpha nootropics. Basically what they are, they're like little pouches. Here, and I'll show you them. I actively use these. In fact, I've got one in right now. Can you see those? They're like a hit of caffeine, but it's clean energy. It's good energy. And it keeps you going. You can almost use it as a pre-workout. It's got good fuel for the mind, for the brain. I say all of the good stuff, none of the bad. It comes in different flavors. I've got these two flavors actually that I really like. This one is cool mint. I've only got one left of these. And this one is apple mint. I like the mint. But basically they're like those Zen pouches or those grinds pouches that you can get at Buc-ee's that you put between your lip and your gum. You put them there like one of those little dip pouches and it gives you energy. It lasts a few hours actually. I take one of these in the morning with a drink of my coffee, and I am good to go. My wife knows. My wife, she's really observant to the fact that, don't talk to me before my first cup of coffee is finished. But right after my first cup of coffee, I pop one of these in, fill up my second cup, maybe make me a taco if if my eyes are up to it. But other than that, those are great. You can get those along with the PEC nasal inhaler. I I lost mine that I have right now. I can't see very well, guys. That's why, like, at first, the first scenes, I didn't have this on because it was on my desk, but I couldn't find it on my desk. And I am sitting at my desk, by the way. But those nasal inhalers as well. Great source of instant energy. They're kind of like those other inhalers that you get, those inhaler sticks you put in one nose that you can, like the Vicks ones, but they're double. You get two things, one for each nostril, and those come in different flavors too. Right now, I've got the Red Bull, and I've got some more coming in that are it's a coffee flavored, coffee scented, I should say. But either way, you smell with your taste buds. I don't know if you knew that or not. So I guess it's a taste in a way. But get both of those, and they're good for you. They're not like these horrible brand things. They're actually good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over back to the screen. I'm going to try to find up another story real quick that apparently I closed all the tabs on. But here we go. And y'all don't see what's going on here. Whenever I'm over here on the other side, my screen is really zoomed in. So that's the only way I can see. So basically, what we're going to be looking for on this one is a New York mayoral candidate that was arrested. And I promise I had all of these opened up. I was ready to go, but somehow or another, I closed it. I'm not getting any sound out of that, so let me see if it's coming through. Okay, I do apologize about that. For some reason, sound's not coming through on this one. But the gist of it is that the New York city comptroller got arrested for basically aiding and abetting an illegal immigrant. He was seen there locking arms with him, keeping it so ICE wouldn't arrest him. And that goes back to what I said just a bit ago, that the left is trying to get arrested to do it for the Vine, do it for the gram. Think of a couple of years back when Donald Trump got arrested. His poll numbers went up. All of a sudden, he started seeing these people, especially in the minority group, saying, hey, he's really one of us. He got arrested. Like, Orale Holmes, he got arrested. He's like one of the Theos now. But Gavin Newsom even was challenging them. Arrest me for doing this or whatever. Go. I wish they would. I wish Gavin Newsom would get arrested, charged, and convicted. Karen Bass, arrested, charged, and convicted. Anyone else who interferes with anything that ICE is doing to Get rid of these illegal immigrants, lock them up, charge them, arrest them, convict them as felons because that's what they are. They are interfering with U.S. national policy. That New York mayoral candidate, I forget his name right off, but he got arrested. The charges were dropped. I don't think he was charged officially though with interfering with whatever charge would be with interfering with a U.S. federal agency. Maybe just the aiding and abetting part of it. But if he is convicted as a felon, all these other people are convicted as felons. Guess what they can't do anymore? They can't vote or hold public office. So get them out, arrest them, lock them up. You know, as Donald Trump said, because you'd be in jail. I don't do a good Donald Trump, so. So that's what I have for the national news. State news. Something a little close to home, Texas. Governor Abbott signed 3 bills promising to lower the tax rates, the property tax rate specifically. Now, I haven't had a chance to go through each and every one of those with the fine-tooth comb or anything like that, but the gist of it is, in the long run, people who have homesteads and whatnot, they're not going to be paying as much taxes as previously. But it's a big but and a smile. But either way, the Victoria County tax assessor has come out with a report saying that the market value for homes in Victoria, Texas has increased. They came out with that report like the next day. So what happens when market values increase? So does the amount of taxes you pay, because you pay taxes based on the value. The assessed value of a home, where somebody who has no real estate experience basically can take a Google map, look at a house and say it's worth this much. There's been cases where these tax assessors using Google, that's it, just Google Maps, Google Earth, maybe like the satellite view, have said houses were double the size they were for years and years and years because they thought they saw a second story. When if they would have actually done their due diligence and done like they said they did, and got off and like actually assessed the value of the land or the property, they would have seen that was just a big window. You know, the guy that had this happen to him took pictures of his house. Now, when that happened, when he discovered that he had already been paying taxes on that house for 11 years, is he going to get any of that back? No. None of it, not a penny of it. Because it's not, he should have appealed it, quote unquote, he should have appealed it back then. But if he didn't pay for it, he would have had his house taken away from him. So now that Governor Abbott came out and said property taxes are going down, magically, the market value of houses is going up. I bet Victoria County isn't the only one to do that. I would urge each and everybody that is a homeowner, that is even a renter in Texas, to look at the assessed values on their tax assessor's website. Every county in Texas has it. Every county. And I promise you, they're going to go up. Get ready to challenge them. We need to overload the tax assessors with paperwork, just like they will overload us with paperwork. We need to overload them with paperwork to justify what they're doing, because what they're doing is wrong. That is essentially taxation without representation. Because my taxes are going up just because you said so. And renters do it too, not just homeowners, renters. Because why? When the taxes for the house that you're renting goes up, guess what also goes up? Your rent. Fight for it too. Fight for it just like it is your house, because it is your house. The deed may not be in your name, But that is your home. Make sure you fight for the value, the actual value, and fight for the taxes that you deserve to pay, not some inflated amount because somebody in a desk, in a chair, in an office, somewhere in the county that you live in decided that it was worth that much. I know Victoria has a plague. And the reason why I know we have a plague is because I've been victim of it. It's only worth this much, but I know I can get this much. A house that I lived in about 10 years ago. It was me and a good friend of mine who owned the house. When he passed, his father, I should say, originally said, hey, you just cover the mortgage, because it was in the son's name. Cover the mortgage, and we'll let you live here as long as you need. The mom came back and said, now, mind you, this is 10 years ago. Well, we know it's worth $800 a month, but we know that we can get $1,200 a month. So if you want to stay here, you got to start paying $1,200 a month. And we're not going to let you put the light bill in your name because we want it to stay in his name. Yeah, the light bill, they were charging us $400 a month for. When I got the bill, and they would come to my house, and I say my house because I was paying rent on it. They would come to my house, get the mail before I got it while I was at work. So I never got the light bill or the water bill for that fact. Finally, one day when I was home, when the mail passed, I got the light bill, $125. So I'm talking about is greed. There's a lot of people in Victoria that say, I know it's worth this much, but I know I can get this much for it. They're causing a false inflation. And they're doing just what the tax assessors are doing right now, causing a false inflation. They're making prices go up because they say so. No other reason other than they say so. Hey guys, thanks again for letting me rant and rave at you this week. If you haven't noticed, I'm trying to go live on Wednesdays and Fridays till I get back into the groove of things. Then I'll let y'all know when the schedule changes. Follow me here. Follow me on TikTok at the Latino at the Latino Conservative on TikTok, on Instagram, on X. I believe I'm back to Andrew Alvarez TX because I was using that as my campaign page. So just wherever, just follow me wherever you can, and don't forget to check out those links in the description. And I will see y'all Friday.
Let's enjoy the show. Magneto. I am Latino. And I am conservative. And we talk about things like politics and religions and society and government. So please subscribe and enjoy the show. The Latino Conservative Podcast. Listen and share with